Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Science Friday Trivia, when tonight we are talking about Science Goes to the Movies. It's another themed night. Yay! I'm so excited that all of you are here. Thank you so much for joining us. If it is your first time here, if it is your 50th time here, how many times have we done this? No matter how many times you've been here, I'm so excited that you are here. My name is Diana. I am hailing from Brooklyn, New York. I am the outreach manager for Science Friday, which basically means I get to do fun stuff like trivia nights with you all. If you didn't realize, today is our Halloween themed trivia night. And so I am dressed as Dr. Ellie Sattler. I mean, I think I did a pretty good job. I found this most pink cardigan or a button up that I could possibly find. And I don't think I didn't think about cutting my bangs in like a really 90s trend. I almost did it for you all because that's how much I like trivia. Welcome again to Science Friday Trivia. Again, it is Science Goes to the Movies themed night. We're going to be joined here by some very special guests soon. But before we do all that, I have to tell you actually how this is going to work. So we're going to start with the rules, and then I'm going to bring our special guests on. So how does this work? That's a really great question. So we are going to play 3 rounds of trivia. It's all about science and movies in about 90 minutes. So we're going to run until about just before 10 o'clock here on the Eastern side. I'm going to put the answer forms in the chat for you all now. So we've got 3 rounds of trivia, which means we've got 3 answer forms, one for each round. So I'm going to put those in the chat now. You can. My advice to you is to assign a captain and to open them up all now. But you can do whatever your heart pleases. So we're going to play. Chris missed it. I'm dressed as Dr. Ellie Sattler from Jurassic Park. Sorry, I didn't say that before. Laura Dern's character, all-knowing paleobotanist. Thank you very much. If I wasn't going to do events, I was going to do not botany. Sorry, everybody. But yeah, if you haven't let us know, by the way, a few people in the chat are letting us know their favorite science-y movie. We got a lot of Contacts. We have a Pacific Rim. That's pretty great. Didn't see that one before. Stargate. I saw Wrath of Khan, Outbreak, Hidden Figures. If you're paying attention, this is a great list of movies that you can watch in the next few days if you really want to get through the end of or beginning of fall, I should say. All right, I'm going to get back to the how this is going to work. So 3 rounds, 90 minutes. You're going to put your answers in the forums. That's how we're going to score trivia. So don't put your answers in the chat, but you are going to put your answers in the forum. I will put the forms at the beginning of each round. I'll just put them in the chat again. So in case you missed it, or if you weren't here when we first started, do me a favor, try to keep your answers simple. I usually don't use articles like the or a unless it's a title for something. Don't put exclamation points or punctuation for the most part. I'm not really picky about spelling, so do your best when it comes to spelling. But you want to keep your answers simple because the forms are auto scoring. And so I do go in and double check answers, and I give you points if you were very close with the spelling. But the best way to get the answer right is to keep your answer as simple as possible. The rounds are going to be pretty quick. They take a little bit longer when I have friends with me to talk to, but we're going to list the questions at the end of each round. So if you miss a question or you want to see it again, don't worry, you'll have another chance at the end of the round. If you want to chat, you can look underneath the YouTube window, or you can look to this way, I guess, the right. And there should be a chat there. That's where people are letting us know what their favorite science movie is and where they are from. And the live stream is just a little bit delayed. We're about 5 or 10 seconds behind. So if it takes me a second to respond to a question or to see something in the chat, don't worry. We usually see it, but sometimes it takes a couple seconds. So what should you do now? Each team should assign a team captain. If you're playing by yourself, you are de facto team captain. Team captain should open all of the answer forms. Again, I just put them in the chat so you can open all of those in a separate window. And decide on a team name now. People who have been here before know that we are doing a leaderboard. And so the leaderboard has been keeping score basically since we started in the fall. And so you want to keep your same team name, but you can also, you can take now to come up with a really good team name if you haven't been here before, because team names they bring joy to me. So you can pick a movie theme team name, or maybe a Halloween themed name. It's all up for grabs. And do me a favor, put the same team name spelled exactly the same way on all of the forms. The form is very picky, and so if you spell the name with an S one time and then forget the S the second time, it's going to get really confused. So do your best and try to spell it the same way all the way around to put it in all of the forms. There's really not that many rules. The rules basically are as the same with every trivia. Don't look the answers up online, and be kind in the chat. The people here have been doing a great job of this so far. What does it look like? Friendly greetings. Don't put the answers in the chat. Questions or noticings. These are all great ways to be considerate in the chat. And do your best and give feedback. So if you aren't on our email list, you can sign up for it. You can come back to another trivia night. I send emails every week just to remind people about trivia. And so you can let me know if there's anything I can do to make trivia more safe, more fun, just a general better experience, because we want to make sure this is a safe place for everyone to have a great evening. Great. And the question is, what do you win? Well, again, the people who have been here before know that normally what you win is you get to name a plant at the Science Friday office. It is a great honor. It stays there forever. I think as long as I'm there, it's going to stay there forever. But tonight is a very special night because we have our friends from the Museum of Moving Image who are going to be joining us in just a moment. And they have given us some lovely swag that you are going to get the chance to win. These are some bookmarks that you can use for all the books that you read because you're all very well-read people. They have movie museum passes, so you can go to the museum this many times. It's like 20 times, or you can go 10 times and you can bring 2 people, well, 1 person with you, or you can go twice with 9 of your best friends. The sky's the limit, everybody. The museum is fantastic. It's one of my favorite places in New York City. So I'm very excited to have partnered with them for this event. You also get pins. Like, are you joking? These pins are so cute. I love them so much. And I've got Science Friday swag here too. I've got stickers. I've got, boy, do I have a lot of tote bags. I got all kinds of stuff for you guys. I will send it to you in the literal mail. You'll get a box full of stuff and a little note from me. That's what you're playing for tonight. It's really exciting. And thank you again to everyone for being here. These are so exciting. Look, everyone in the chat is freaking out. So yay. All right. So we're going to welcome our special guests now. So they are from the museum. They're not in the museum right now, but they are from the museum. They're wonderful people, and they're here to talk about the best and coolest thing, which is science movies. Please welcome Sonia Epstein and Katie Kita.
Hi, everyone.
Well done. I know it's the hardest thing on live streams when you do a fantastic welcome like that, and it's just met with me clapping alone in my house. But
you know, I feel the presence.
I feel very validated. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Welcome, both of you. It is so great to see you, to have friends here. Like I was saying, it is so hard doing this alone sometimes. The people in the chat are wonderful, and they're fantastic people. But I love talking to friends. So before we start trivia, Sonia, can you tell us a little bit about what you do at the museum?
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you all so much for being here. We're really excited. Diana has done a fantastic job of organizing tonight's program, and it's just our privilege to be along for the ride. So I am the museum's associate curator of science and film, which is maybe you didn't know that the museum had a curator of science and film, but that's me. And so I, in that role, run the museum's online publication, which is just scienceandfilm.org. And so we do a lot of interviews with both filmmakers and scientists about, thank you, Diana. Yeah, we do a lot of interviews with filmmakers and scientists about both new and older films. We also commission scientists to write about topics in current film and cinema. I saw some people were chatting about The Expanse. We have a great article from physicist Katie Mack, who's a great physicist, about why The Expanse is her favorite show.
Now I have to watch the show. Everyone's been telling me to watch the show. Now I have to watch it.
Yeah, but so anyway, so that's sort of my primary role, and then I also curate a series in person at the museum where I screen films that have something to do with science and follow them with discussions between scientists and filmmakers. And we have a new initiative starting this year to actually give grants to help develop screenplays related to science and film written by graduate film students. So that's kind of my purview there.
That's amazing. Well, we're so excited to have you. This is going to be awesome.
Don't ask me what I am, but yes.
Just general Halloween. The gloves really make it, I gotta say. Katie, can you tell us a little bit about what you do for the museum?
Gladly. Thank you so much for having us as well. Echoing Sonia's delight at being here with everyone. Been really looking forward to this. I'm the membership manager here at the museum, and that means I get to share all of the amazing things that we do, such as Sonia's program, as well as all our other things with our education and community outreach programs, with all of the wonderful people who come to visit, and hopefully get them to come and stay a while. And I see some of our lovely members in the chat right now. Hi, Ricardo and Charles. It's so good to be here with you.
Oh, yay. I love that. That's one of my favorite parts about having the chat is like, it is nice. I do miss doing live events with people, but it's so nice to be like, oh, I know that name. Yay. And they took the time to like write a nice little thing to me. I love that. Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
It was my pleasure. And this evening I'm dressed as Diane Fossey, noted primatologist, who is depicted by the lovely Sigourney Weaver in Gorillas in the Mist.
I love the Halloween costumes that need like full prop list to make any sense at all. It's my favorite. So thank you for fully committing. I went into my closet and I was like, what can I be? What is my favorite thing in the world? As I happen to have this, so I'm excited that you fully committed. Thank you, Katie. Amazing. Well, I'm just about ready to start. I mean, it looks like everyone in the chat is just chatting away and is ready to go. All right. Are you two ready to start trivia? Yes, let's do it. All right. So I'm going to get the presentation back up here. We're going to start right now. Let's do it. All right. So we are starting, of course, where we always should start with round one. I'm going to post the form in the chat just in case you need it or you came here a little bit late. Round one, science on screens. And so science on screens is all about the actual science of making a movie happen. So this is much more about like, you might see some chemistry questions in here. You might see some, not so many anatomy questions, but it's just what is the science of actually making it so that movies can exist? So let's hop right into it with question number one. While you can still catch some classic movies on film reels, I personally saw 2001: A Space Odyssey on 70mm a few years ago at MoMI. It was fantastic. Most theaters use digital projectors these days. In the 1800s, though, there were a lot of different animation machines and moving image projectors invented around the world, and they had some fantastic names. Pictured here is one of them from 1896. What is this machine called? So I have a little bit bigger for you to see. Is it A, a magnoscope, B, a kinetoscope, C, praxinoscope, or D, phoneticoscope? I practiced that. I think I might have still butchered it a little bit, but I did my best. A kind reminder, we're not going to put the answers in the chat. Just a kind reminder to everybody, there is a form that you can fill out. That is the best way for you to answer. But yes, so this is one of those. One hint I will give you all, I did not make any of these names up. Phenakidiscope, I practiced it, but I don't know how to say it still. That one has a couple accents aigus. It's like a French word. That's part of the reason why I can't say it as well. But all of these are real words and we're all real machines, but you just need to tell us, what is this one?
I'm going to be really impressed by whoever gets this one.
This thing looks like it's seen better days.
Yeah. Well, to give it some credit, it probably hasn't been used in a little while.
Yeah, it was invented literally a century and 20 years ago. So
older than most of us.
Yeah.
It has the right spooky vibe, maybe.
Yeah. Like it's probably haunted, no?
Yeah.
I think so.
There's
It's
definitely a ghost
perfectly
in
on
that
point.
machine.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe you don't get too close when you visit the museum. Just like look at it from a respectable distance.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what we're trying to encourage.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yes, it's a museum after all. So, all right, we're going to move swiftly right along to question number 2. And Katie, if you wouldn't mind reading this one for us.
Absolutely. So you'll find all kinds of exhibitions about how movies get made at MoMI, like an entire wing dedicated to the Muppets, which is one of my favorite parts of the museum. Not only do you get a peek behind the curtain to see how these puppets were built and brought to life, but you even get to see many of the Muppets themselves behind plexiglass, including Beaker, the hapless lab assistant who often gets hurt during experiments, and the resident scientist at Muppet Labs. What is this Muppet's full name?
Yes, so we do need the full name for this one. That Muppet is pictured just below the larger picture. This is the Muppet that we are talking about here. What is this Muppet's name? I'm pretty sure that Beaker's full name is Beaker. I don't think
so.
that they have a last name.
Poor Beaker.
I know.
They needed
Not
to shorten
only-
it for all the hospital entry forms that he has to fill out.
That's a really, really good point. It makes things a lot easier. All right, so once again, we're just looking for, keeping it simple. What is this Muppet's full name for this question? And from, actually, before we move on away from the Muppets, because this might be the only time we get a chance to talk about the Muppets, Sonia, do you have a favorite Muppet?
Ooh, I mean, I really like the Doozers, actually. I don't know if that counts exactly as
the little ones, right?
100%.
Yeah, the really little ones. We have them in the exhibition, and they were actually part of like one of the first robotically controlled systems. I believe the person who designed them won an Academy Award for his like engineering, essentially special effects, but less computer based.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think they might be my closet favorite.
They're so cute.
Miss Piggy is also, hard to. Yeah.
And do you have the full? Is Miss Piggy in like her wedding dress in the plexiglass?
You know it.
That's pretty cool. That's
a
pretty
popular wedding photograph spot.
Of course, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Katie, what about you? You have a favorite?
My favorite Muppets are also in the exhibition, Statler and Waldorf, who constantly heckle people. I find them very amusing because my inner self is also like an old giggling madman sort of energy. I also, Juliana called out in the chat the Dark Crystal stuff, which I also love.
Yeah.
There's a section where we have a full-size Skeksis from the original film, which is terrifying to look at.
Yep.
And there's a door right there where it's like kind of tucked into a corner, so it's not to frighten the children. But behind that door is our offices. So one of my favorite things is every once in a while you hear someone come around that corner and go, ah! And then I Statler and Waldorf behind the office door.
They're just laughing just a little bit. That's amazing.
We're definitely laughing.
Yeah. that is just hours of amusement right there. I love that. Amazing. We're going to move on to question number 3. Sonia, if you wouldn't mind reading this one for us.
Of course. I'll keep my glasses down so I can see. Have you ever wondered how much of the transformed actors on screen how much the transformed actors on screen are because of makeup, and how much are computer generated visual effects? For many movies, it's a mix of both, but that doesn't mean makeup artists are working less. True or false? It took Mrs. Doubtfire's Oscar-winning makeup artist over 6 hours a day to transform Robin Williams into the iconic nanny. So again, true or false? It took Mrs. Doubtfire's Oscar-winning makeup artist over 6 hours a day to transform Robin Williams.
This was one of those ones that for some reason I didn't expect the first time I came to the museum. You get up to the second floor and you turn around and it's like, here's a bunch of faces of actors that you've seen and probably grown up watching.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is this is a whole place. This is going to be great.
Yeah, we have the I don't think it's giving anything away, but we have a prop from Mrs. Doubtfire in the museum's permanent collection. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, because it's sort of like a almost like a rubbery kind of like material, right?
Yeah,
I forget if that's one of the ones where you actually put like glass eyes behind the eyes, so it kind of looks like someone's sitting in the mask. But there's a couple like that in the whole exhibit where I'm just like, this looks like a person in there.
Again, walking through there at night, like that's how horror movies start. You don't want to.
Yeah.
Well, forget night at the Museum of Natural History. Night at
Yes, seriously though. Yes. It would be a little scary, I think, at times.
It's a little spooky.
All right, we're going to swiftly move along to question number 4. So stop motion animation has been experimented with since at least the 1850s, including Passage de Venus, a series of photographs of the transit of the planet Venus across the sun in 1874. Yeah, so a while. It's pretty cool. But in 2013, IBM created a stop motion animation called A Boy and His Atom by moving molecules with a scanning tunneling microscope, which is a device that magnifies the molecules at 100 million times. So it makes them quite large to our eyes. While it does hold the world record for the smallest stop motion film, the frame, which is pictured here, is 45 nanometers by 25 nanometers, so really small. IBM was really more interested in showing off the possibilities for data storage than creating a cinematic history, But the question is, what 2 atom molecules were used to create the image for the movie? So here you will see the boy and his atom. You can kind of see in the individual atom here, the individual atom, the 2 atom molecule, actually. You can kind of see that it looks a little bit like you can see that there's 2 there. So that is your only hint. What 2 atom molecules were used to create the images for the movie? It is 1. Good question, Eileen. Oh, everyone with the good questions. It is a single molecule was used in all of this entire creation of this image, but they are 2 atoms. So 2 atoms make up the molecule. I'm looking for the name of the molecule. So that is your only hint. Have you either of you seen this? It's literally like 60 seconds. It's not very long.
Yeah, I've seen it on YouTube.
I have not. I'm gonna look it up later.
You just kind of it's fun because I was reading about it. I was like, the atom turns into so many things. The possibilities are endless. And like I think the atom turns into a trampoline and the boy jumps on it, and that's the end. And I'm like, this is impressive. I mean, this is like, it's still a incredibly powerful microscope that made this movie, and that's pretty cool. But I was like, they could have made it do like one more thing, like make it into a duck for a second, and wow, it can do a trampoline and a duck. That's pretty cool.
I think there's room for more,
I demand a sequel.
Yeah.
Yes. The boy and his second atom,
which is also a duck.
Yes. All right, and we're going to move on to the last question of the round, which, Katie, I'm going to ask you to read for us.
Sorry, I think I froze. The slide isn't coming up for me. Oh, there we go. Thanks.
Ooh, awesome.
Okay. You know that classic film trope where at the end of the movie, the reel melts and the music deteriorates under the light of the projector? Well, modern film these days is either acetate or polyester. Until the 1950s, the filmmakers used the first pliable thermoplastic, which was highly flammable, would burn hot and quickly, and gave off a dense, poisonous smoke. Fun. Not what you want in your theater. The common name for this type of film is celluloid. What is the scientific name for the plastic compound?
Very exciting. Good one. I have a great recommendation for a place to visit in addition to MoMI to learn more about this, which is the George Eastman Museum in Rochester, New York, which every year, at least pre-pandemic, did this great thing that I have been to a few times called the Nitrate Picture Show. I hope I didn't just say something.
No.
Okay.
You're totally fine.
I had to reread the question. But anyway, there's only a few movie theaters in the whole world that are equipped to show that. And so it's a whole weekend where they don't announce the films ahead of time, but they project films on nitrate, and it's an incredible experience because the quality of the people say like the whites really shimmer. It's like the quality of the material that is being projected from.
That's so cool. I had no idea. Do they do this film festival like during the summer? Is it like a yearly thing?
It's usually May. Yeah, I want to say May, maybe the first week of June. But it's open to it generally is a lot of film archivists, preservationists, people who work in the industry, but I believe it's open to the public. And someone in the audience has a friend who's the chief project. That's a hard to get job because you have to be. It's one of the reasons that there's so few places that can project it is, in addition to having the facilities to store it, has to do with its flammable nature, as the question points to. And
so when they show it, don't they have to show it within a very specially made projector, so as if it does catch on fire,
yes,
quickly
it's contained.
Yeah.
Whoa. I didn't know that was a thing. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Danger.
It's very dangerous, says Jamie. Yeah.
You can't bring it on planes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, I get it. There's some.
Yeah, no one's shipping nitrate prints anymore.
No.
Yeah, that's pretty smart. I think that's probably very good.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, we're at the end of round one somehow already. So we're gonna do the thing we always do, which is you all have about a minute and a half to submit your final answers. Here are all of the questions. We're going to leave this up for about a minute and a half. We're going to play some music, and we're going to make it big so that you can see the questions as big as possible. So we'll see you in a few minutes. Good luck. All right. Your last chance to see any of the questions is now, because we're back and I'm going to hide the questions now. If you have not submitted your form, now is the moment to do it, because we are going to go away and start scoring in a second. I wanted to remind people that we do have two very special guests who have a lot of knowledge about things, especially in the museum world. And so if you have questions about the museum itself, about science and films, that now is the time to ask them. So we'll come back and we'll answer some questions if you have them. Put them in the chat at any time. We will do our best to answer them as we're coming in. But for right now, we're going to go score. So I'm going to have fun doing that, but you're going to have fun watching a video. So I've got a couple of videos that are like science and art themed. One is just pretty, and so that's going to be the last one we watch. But this one is actually about the physics of animating hair, which I had no idea much about until I watched this video. So have fun, enjoy the movie, and we'll see you in a few minutes.
Once upon a time, in a faraway land, a student of computer science was studying to get her PhD. Her specialty? Hair simulation, writing algorithms to make animated hair look real. And the fairy tale ending for a student of hair modeling?
I was graduating, and my advisor had actually heard that Disney was going to be making a film out of
Rapunzel.
Gesundheit.
and I thought, this is perfect.
That's because it's hard to get hairier than this little lady.
She has 70 feet of hair,
That's a lot of hair.
and her hair is on the screen throughout most of the film.
Goldie, look at this!
As a senior software engineer for Disney Animation, Kelly Ward's job was to work with the art directors to make that hair come to life in the movie Tangled.
Hair simulation is known to be a pretty complex problem in CG animation because in reality the human head has over 100,000 strands of hair.
Modeling the movement of 100,000 strands of hair touching each other and bumping into objects is complicated. One shortcut?
We only simulated 173 hairs for each shot.
This rough simulation happens before animation. And here's what it looks like after it's animated. The reason you don't have to simulate all 100,000 strands,
The hairs that are near each other usually tend to move pretty similar to each other.
but then there's the question of what that movement should look like. Well, for a single strand,
There's a lot of measured formulas for how stretchy a hair can be and what its physical parameters are.
there aren't many measurements for a whole head of hair. So Ward and her colleagues did some research.
We studied a lot of real hair. We start to tweak and change the way that we're computing our own hair interactions to try to mimic that.
In this simulation, you can assign a section of hair certain parameters.
We know how much that should weigh, for example.
And then physics-wise, the hairs are treated sort of like springs.
So we use a lot of those physical formulas that you would see in a mass spring system.
Now, there's some complications in making Rapunzel's hair truly realistic.
The hair, in reality, would weigh quite a bit, 60 to 80 pounds or something.
Look at those twiggy arms. There's no way she could lift that. And then imagine trying to drag 80 pounds by your head.
In reality, there might be a lot of friction on the ground that's going to pull the hair back and strain her motion. We didn't want that for the film, so we developed different ways to kind of trick physics.
Yay!
To make sure the hair still looked like it had weight to it, but that it could still glide easily with her while she moved. So there was a lot of art direction to try and make it do what maybe it wouldn't do in the real world, but what we want it to do in our Tangled world.
In fairy tales, you can take liberties with hair physics. For Science Friday, I'm Flora Lichtman.
Hey, did either of you know any of that about how hard it was to actually animate hair?
No.
I-
That hasn't come up in my work to date.
I just reminded me that I need a haircut, first of all, very badly. But also you need to think about how much it weighs.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I had no idea. It seems very complicated. I'm very glad that there is someone else taking care of the job for me and that I don't have to worry about it. All right, so we are going to get back to the answers. I'm sure you are all just at the edge of your seat wondering about those answers. So let's get right to them. So our first question was about this fantastic and rusty old little guy here, built in 1896. Out of all of these very real objects, we asked which one was it. A few of you got it right. It's a magnoscope. Yes.
Nice.
Invented by a man who is also French. It seems like a lot of these inventions were made in France. Was that kind of like they were close by and so they got to learn, or
Well,
happenstance?
Lumiere brothers, France, a lot about the origins. I mean, the Pathé brothers, a lot of early cinema. I mean, America also had its fair share with Edison, but a lot of the early cinema factories, at least, were in France.
Yeah. I mean, go with what you know, I guess. If you're nearby a place where things are making it happen, you're like, yeah, I could learn that. That sounds great. So
Right.
amazing. All right, we're going to move on to question 2. We asked a very simple question. What is this poor boy's name who has just a hapless man for an assistant, or I should say Muppet for an assistant? His name is Dr. Bunsen Honeydew, everybody. I always think his name is Bunsen Beaker, because of course, but his assistant's name is Beaker. He's named Bunsen. His assistant's name is Beaker,
And he's the color of honeydew.
And he's the color of honeydew. Sometimes it's as simple as that. I do want to read some of my favorite answers, though. Dr. Richard Wigglesworth. I think it's one of those things where, yeah, I'm glad some people, they leave it blank or they write a question mark or they just write, I don't know. And that's also totally fine. But when you write a fake answer, it makes me laugh. So congratulations to that team. What else was there? Myopa Heisenberg. I like that. I think you just went in a specific direction.
Myopa, very nice touch.
Yeah, the glasses.
Yep. Very nice touch.
Dr. Einstein. Great, honestly, a really great name. I also really like Paul K. Muppet. You did your best. I mean, it's just this whole thing is about, is just doing your best. Science Friday trivia. So, all right, we're going to move on. Question number 3. For this one, Sonia asked you, true or false that it took Mrs. Doubtfire's Oscar-winning makeup artist over 6 hours a day to transform Robin Williams. It's false. I'm sorry I got tricksy with this one, but it actually took them about 4.5 hours, which is still an incredibly long amount of time. If you can imagine sitting and doing anything for 4.5 hours, including sitting still, it seems like no fun, I gotta say. He really dedicated himself to the craft for that one.
But also, I do think it might have something to do with the well-crafted nature of the prosthetic sort of face that they were putting on him, which all of you can appreciate when you come to MoMI.
Yeah, and it's separate parts. Is that right? Like there's kind of like I think there's like
there's a base.
Yeah, go ahead, Katie.
When you come into the first area where you described with all the photos and everything, we also have life masks on display, and those are used as a base on which makeup artists can kind of build the bases of those pieces to make the process go faster. And that's really essential when you're doing, a long shoot or multiple takes of something, because people sweat and, they can really disintegrate very, very quickly. So it's important to have that process really locked down.
That's so cool. Yeah. Oof. I couldn't do it. There's no way.
No.
All right. So our question 4 was about this tiny little film called A Boy and His Atom, made with a scanning tunneling microscope, which until today I didn't know existed. But the animation itself is made with 2 atom molecules. Of what kind? They are carbon monoxide, everybody. So I think...
Did anyone get that?
A few people did. Yeah, nice. I was wildly impressed. I thought I was really stumping everybody with this one, but a bunch of teams did get it. And there were a bunch of other good guesses too, that like salt. Yeah. Like that also like makes a lot of sense. We had a few people who guessed, where was it? Like tin oxide or sodium chloride. Yeah, there's a lot of sodium chlorides was like the number 2 answer under carbon monoxide. So people understood the assignment. They were just one tiny little molecule off. So you were very close, but not quite there. So
I like Ryan Randall's answer to 2 atoms, 2 furious. Honorable mention, I feel, should be awarded.
Yeah, seriously.
That's very funny.
Oh my God. I haven't even been paying too much attention to the chat. Y'all are great. I like this Harry Tales or Fairy Tales from John. That was a good one. That made me laugh. All right. And so we had this last question. This one was about what is the common name for the kind of film that they used to use is celluloid, but we needed the like full scientific name for the plastic compound, basically the first plastic ever, basically, which I was surprised to find out. It's called cellulose nitrate. So you had
I was afraid that I had given something away.
Don't worry, Sonia. You had to give me the full thing, but I did accept nitrocellulose. So again, you had to get a little fancy in there. So nitrocellulose or cellulose nitrate, both are acceptable. And so if you wrote anything like that with the space between the words, without the space in the words, again, I am not a huge I don't count points off for spelling unless it is part of the answering of the question correctly. If you got close enough, you put 2 L's at one point, you got the point. So don't worry. But yeah, we have a lot of teams tonight, which is fantastic. And what's going to happen now is I'm going to show you all of the scores for the top 10 teams. So you're seeing here the top 10 teams in alphabetical order. So we have a bunch of 4s, one team right on top. But I am going to read all of the scores from all of the teams very quickly. So get ready, because here it comes, everybody. All right, we have a few teams who did their best. They tried to make it to the board. They didn't quite get a point up, but that's okay because there's 2 more rounds. So don't worry. Those teams without any points so far are Trudon, Trace Cabezas, Tom Selleck's Chest Hair, Swiltering Swifts, Snake River, River Snakes. They have fantastic names, guys. Just wait. Royal Swan Posse, Rooms with Zoomies, Magnificent Manatees, Leo DeGrant's Must Die, Cavern, Handle with Scare, good one, I like it. The Dumbledorks, Dr. Sniffles, and BM Hunter. You all, no points yet, but that's okay.
Dumbledorks.
Yeah, they're here a lot of weeks.
A+ everyone.
They're amazing. All right, we have a bunch of teams with 1 point, including Ultraviolet, the 4 Wens, the Buckeye 5, Technobabble, Sunnyside Up, Sea Muskrats, Sci-Y, Raven Puffles, Prairie Schooners, Los Gatos, Claus, Gershneka, I think is how you say that. Greek God of Revelry, Fox Kits, Dancing Fish, and a Movie Buffs Marathon in Maldonia. You all have 1 point. Few teams with 2 points. Your Mom, The Study Group, Sacramento Kings, Rich D Family, Casey Cakes, Hrumps, Herpetophilia, Cinder Squid, Alone is Not Lonely, and Too Tired to Care. You all have 2 points. It's tied for 3rd place with 3 points is the RK Warriors, Just Me McGee, Business Geese, Bentley, and Aries. You all have 3 points. With 4 points, we've got all these teams on the board. The Trained Observers, The Girls Are Fighting, Solo Susie, Sibling Rivals of the Silver Screen, very nice. Dejamin Lux, Anonymous Sparrow, and 1006. You all have 4 points, but at the very top of the leaderboard so far, Argonauta, fantastic. Welcome to the top. Yay! All right. Sorry, I'm just reading the I'm just reading all of the chats. I do need to read all of the team scores. Don't worry. It takes 5 minutes, but it's my favorite part, so I do it every time. All right. So we are moving right along with round 2. It is spine-chilling cinema. So it is the season of hauntings and of scary things and of scary movies. Don't worry if you are not a scary movie person, if you don't like suspense movies or you're not a big fan of gore. I've kept all of these questions pretty family friendly, but if you happen to be the kind of person who watches a lot of horror films or just knows a lot about horror films, this is the round for you. So yes, there are a lot of teams. I think there are 53 teams playing tonight. Usually we're in the 30s. So yay. I'm so excited that you're all here. Sonia, Katie, are you ready for round 2?
Ready to rumble.
So ready. I love scary movies. Let's go.
Yes, let's do it. All right. So round 2. Sonia, if you wouldn't mind starting us off with this one.
My pleasure. So guys, fake blood was used on stage before it was used in films, and movie directors could build and adapt that knowledge for those scenes featuring bloody moments. Because the consistency was more important to nail than the color in black and white films, some movie makers could use chocolate syrup in place of blood. Question: what brand did suspense master Hitchcock use in his 1960 thriller Psycho? So what brand of chocolate syrup did Hitchcock use in Psycho?
That is very tricksy, Diana.
Thank you.
It's going to take some specific knowledge. I think you guys are up to it.
Yeah, I have a uncle who's very into chocolate syrups, like swears by one brand, does not move from that brand. And so I have a feeling he would get this, but I think I think only I think only he would get this one because it's just a set of knowledge he has.
I always thought those things, like when I learned that like milk in commercials was usually glue, but because of the consistency, I always think those things are so interesting because you think what you're seeing is real, but it's not.
No, ice cream is potatoes, right?
Right. Yeah, it's just like it's like what you imagine the thing to be is different than what the thing is itself, which is like some kind of ontological problem.
Yeah.
I used to work with someone who was a food stylist for a while,
Cool.
and she would tell me about the most horrifying things, like not just the like ice cream for potatoes, but in order to like make a cabbage, for instance, glisten, she would spritz it with a very specific mixture of like grease because it wouldn't move either, like it'll stick to it.
Oof.
It makes sense. It's just you don't want to eat it afterwards. It must be the weirdest job because you're staring at food all day, but none of it is what it seems.
So weird.
None of it is edible.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move right along to question number 2. Katie, if you wouldn't mind reading this one for us. It's a long one. I apologize. Just do your best.
That's fine. I love this question. I listen to the soundtrack of this movie all the time. Inspired by Jeff Vandermeer's book of the same name, the 2018 film Annihilation weaves actual scientific concepts into the story, although real-life scientists might be able to poke holes in how they're used in the plot. As the scientific team explores Area X, the mysterious area at the center of the film contained by the Shimmer, the expedition's astrophysicist hypothesizes that the topiary-like plant structures shaped like human bodies they've come across have a human form because they contain what kind of genes? Hint, these genes are the master genes that control the body plan of animals from flies to humans, but not plants, which is why it's supernatural.
Yeah, I feel like if people haven't seen this movie, it doesn't sound spooky. Like this movie caught me by surprise because I was like, ooh, a fun sci-fi romp with a full female cast. I'm here for it. Let's freaking do this. And then it gets spooky, like really fast.
Oh, yeah, there's a couple scenes that are just straight up horrifying.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, I feel like the producer of, I don't remember which production company actually like helped market this movie. They didn't do a good job because I walked around the city all like whenever that movie came out. It was like at the end of the year, I think. And I just like kept being like, hey, did you guys see Annihilation yet? And everyone was like, no, what is that? And I was like, what is that? It's the coolest movie out right now. Go see it now. And no one knew about it.
Yeah. I do post trivia. There's a good article that I commissioned around the time that it came out by 2 Harvard geneticists writing about this phenomenon. So for those who's interested in hearing more after they see the film, I would, definitely recommend the film.
Awesome. Yeah, it
Alex
was great.
Garland.
Yeah, it was a really, really, really good one. I highly recommend it as well. Don't worry. This person says that it never seen it. This is an unfair advantage, which is fair. It is science movie trivia night, so if you've seen a lot of sciencey movies. However, I actually don't know. I don't know that this was a fact that I would have remembered anyway. It's actually much more for the physicists in the room, or not even the physicists, really the the geneticists. The geneticists, yeah, exactly.
Or the biologists, really.
I was actually surprised because I was like, it says that astrophysicists came. Well, how did they know about this? I feel like astrophysicists know, they're very smart, but they know about one thing, which is physics. And I was like, all right, I'll suspend my belief. It's a movie. It's fine. All right, we spent a lot of time on this one, so we're going to move on to question number 3. Before its release, The Dark Crystal, the dark fantasy film from the Jim Henson Company, was billed as the first live-action film without any humans on screen. Everyone was either under a puppet or controlling it from off-screen. While performers inside the puppets made the basic movements for larger creatures, what then cutting-edge technology, using a combination of rods, cables, and radio control tech, made the hands, eyes, and other facial features come to life? So there is this other technology that was used to make the eyes blink, to move the fingers around and make those little minute movements that under a puppet can be really hard to do. So what was that technology? that was really cutting edge at the time when this movie came out in 1986. Did I get that right? I wasn't around for Dark Crystal.
Yeah, I think it was 1986. I can double check, but
It was in the 90s?
82.
Oh,
Just a little earlier, but
is this one of those? I don't know this series too much. I know that I'm pretty sure that this one is from. Is this from the new like prequels? This actual puppet that's featured here.
That one is, yes. That one's from the newer.
the age of
Thra, is that what it's called? It's like one of the, I don't know enough. I write these questions and then I'm like, what is it? The other thing that's like a little bit of knowledge in addition to the thing I wrote?
The Age of Resistance.
Nice. Okay, yeah. It was actually, because I didn't know much about this series at all, and then I walked through this exhibition, and I was like, oh, I should really watch this movie. It's one of those ones that now I have to watch the movie and I have to watch the prequel, and I've just got so much on my list, but I love Jim Henson stuff, so I really should watch it already.
Science movie night is Science movie trivia night is here to give you movie watching homework.
Seriously, all of the recommendations in the world.
Something for everyone.
Yeah. All right, moving right along to question number 4. This was my addition, just a straight up science question for you all, and I'm going to let Katie read this one. Actually, go ahead.
Oh, thrilled! One of my favorite movies of all time. This movie. Many people credit Jaws for their fear of sharks, same, or swimming in ocean water, but sharks deserve to be way more afraid of us than we are of them. The International Shark Attack File, created by the Florida Museum, is the world's only scientifically documented, comprehensive database of all known shark attacks. And in 2020, they confirmed 57 unprovoked shark bites. After Florida, Hawaii, and California, what state had the 4th most unprovoked shark bites last year, with 3 total bites?
Yeah, so it wasn't very many, but it made it to the top 5, this one. Everything after that, by the way, all the other states after the top 4 were all just 1. So it was like off the coast of this state. Just one shark bite happened. One of them happened in an aquarium, which I was surprised about. I think it was one of those things. It was just like, no one actually died in this instance. I think it's just someone, it was like a diver that was injured. But yeah, they have that in its own column because it's not quite provoked. It's not quite unprovoked. It's like, the shark's already in kind of a stressed out situation at times, and a human maybe swimming around their home is maybe not like the most stress-free situation. But, and also, yes, it was 2020. People should have been staying home. A great,
very valid point.
Not bothering the sharks, for God's sakes.
Exactly.
Stay home. Knock it off with the sharks.
But apparently, I think the like percentage of shark attacks went down by something like 20% in 2020. So either people are getting way better at not bothering sharks, or people were already staying home.
Yeah, I think maybe a behavioral change, but
yeah, it was a little bit of both. Yeah, one from column A, one from column B, probably a little bit. So. All right, so that was question number 4, and we're going to move right along to question number 5. If you're into space horror movies like me, you've probably seen the classic 1979 film Alien, starring Sigourney Weaver, as well as some terrifying face-hugger and chest-burster extraterrestrials. And if you've seen Alien, you probably know, I actually did not know this, the name for the aliens are xenomorphs. That's what they call them. I think they don't call them that in the first one, but in the franchise they do. But in addition to xenomorphs, did you know that these extraterrestrials have a binomial Latin name too? Just like we have Homo sapien, they've got a Latin name. It's never said on screen, but it is mentioned in some of the franchise's DVDs. So that's great. For this question, you have to select their scientific name. I will read them all and do my best. Is it A, Voltus amplexus, B, Interticivis raptus, C, Atrox morticis, or D, Corpus percursus? I did practice these many times, so I
You're
did.
doing great.
Awesome. I
And
couldn't do it.
thank you. To be fair, these are all made up in the way that somebody made these up. This is not a real Latin. None of these are real Latin names, but also I did make up 3 of these. So one of them is the name that the people who make the Alien franchise came up with for this alien. And then I made up the other 3. So do your best. Everything's made up. So have both of you seen this film? I actually only saw it last year.
Oh.
I love like space horror. I love horror in general, but
Yeah. Sigourney Weaver, I mean,
iconic.
yeah, I just don't watch a lot. I don't watch a lot of movies, and I'm not great at like doing like, this is a classic, I should finally watch it.
yeah.
But
And one of the best sequels of all time, if I may say so.
I have
Yeah,
not seen Aliens.
I'm sort of a fan of like body horror type films. I don't know.
Do you have a favorite one?
I mean, I'm a Cronenberg fan who, if you think of body horror, I think for many people that's who you think of. Existence is hard to beat, but some of his early films I like a lot too. And yeah, I mean, I would definitely Videodrome, maybe Videodrome.
I have not seen Videodrome, but it is on so many lists, and I just recently was like,
really
is
good.
Skinners.
Yeah,
Skinners is one of the early ones. Yeah,
this is like really giving me movie like fatigue and like oh gosh, my list is so long now. So thank you both for that.
Anytime.
All right, so we are going to show you all of the questions here. You're going to have a minute and a half to finalize your answers and submit your form. So good luck, everyone, and we'll see you in a minute and a half. All right, everyone, take a good look, because this is the last you're going to see these beautiful questions. All right, that's it. That's all you get. Good job, everybody. You did great, I'm sure. We've had a lot of love in the chat for The Fly, by the way. So a lot of very good.
Reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I still stick with Videodrome, but I hear you guys.
Yeah, these are all movies. I also have not seen The Fly. I feel
We almost showed The Fly, I will say, at the drive-in. So for those of you who don't know, the museum opened a drive-in during COVID in collaboration with Rooftop Films, and it was on the grounds of the New York Hall of Science, and we were there for about 2 seasons. And it was so much fun.
Good.
And I remember we had a great pairing of The Fly and The Blob. But we...
I didn't come and see that one.
It actually didn't manifest for booking reasons. We couldn't get both of them together, but maybe in the theater.
That would be awesome. I would come to that.
Okay.
If you do the drive-in again, I will be the happiest of campers.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
it is a whole, because you were also
It's a production.
You were working with another museum too. There's a lot of moving parts, but just so you know, if I think I came like 2 or 3 times, and every time was just so much fun. So
no, I hope we do. It was definitely
It was a blast.
It was fun on all fronts. Yeah.
Amazing. All right, well, I'm gonna go score. I can already see that we've got some like very good answers in the chat. This is always what happens, where I just like check out and just make sure everything's looking good, and I'm like, that is a very good answer. So anyway, I'm going to go score. I'm going to leave you with a video about art made with inspiration from exoplanets. It's an older video that I had actually not seen until recently. So I'll leave you with that, and have fun. See you in a few minutes, everybody.
Being able to look at the stars and seeing the vastness and us as this tiny speck, that is already in itself a huge paradigm shift for humans and a very radically not Earth-centered anymore.
In her studio in Brooklyn, mathematician turned artist Helena Kauppila paints her vision of what the sky would look like on another planet. The scientific discovery of thousands of exoplanets inspired her art.
We certainly don't know what it would be like to live on one of these exoplanets. And so that was also, to me, this artistic freedom, but also the role of the artist. We're kind of filling in a different kind of information, exploring a different kind of space than what science is exploring. This is the first one in this set, and I was sort of making it while making a lot of crap, really. I had this idea. I was struggling with a painting issue being the first color on the canvas was dominating everything that came afterwards. It was really affecting it a lot more than I anticipated, because I assumed oil paints are somehow opaque, but of course light is always bouncing in from the very first layers.
The paintings may be abstract, but they are based on hard science. Kauppila uses real astronomical data to map the stars. She chooses distant exoplanets that astronomers have discovered in our universe.
The idea here was I'm incorporating an accurate star chart from a different perspective in the universe. These dots are actual star locations, bigger dots for brighter stars. This sort of abstract painting made by an artist potentially located in this different location in the universe. And this idea of them, both of these fields coexisting and having sort of a complementary purpose. So it's not illustrating the science, but sort of having this complementary types of knowledge that they're really searching for.
Kauppila uses online software to select and map her paintings. She picks a location in the universe and what direction she wants to look toward. The software prints an image of what the night sky would look like from that perspective. She gets a lot of her inspiration from the Kepler mission, which looks for exoplanets orbiting distant stars. The Kepler mission stared at a region of the sky for 4 years, watching more than 100,000 stars. It was looking for slight dimming in the light of the stars. When the light dims regularly, scientists can infer that there's a planet passing in front. So far, Kepler has found thousands of planets.
We don't have to see the star physically. We don't have to be at the planet to infer its existence. And this is somehow power of science. On the other hand, there's so much unknown. More known than one would guess. But overall, there's so much unknown, and the idea that we don't really know what it would be like to be on this planet. And so on top of this hardcore science fact, I have full freedom as an artist.
Hey, all right.
That was so cool.
Right? I mean, what a cool artist. And I had no idea, like, there were people doing, again, like, rewatching these videos, I'm like, wow, there are people doing some, like, really amazing things with their, like, love of science and of art. So,
yeah.
Do either of you have any, like, science-y arts in your either offices or in your, like, homes that you, like, sort of, like, use as a way to connect the art and the science as well?
A lot of movie posters, a lot of books.
That I believe.
I have one, actually, Katie can answer, and I'll pull out my favorite one from my bookshelf.
Ooh, I think I know what one you're going to pick. I have behind me sorry, I'm bad at this.
Yeah, it's okay.
Work at a movie museum, can't be on camera. Awful. I have behind me a painting of a plague doctor that
cool.
I got in Venice when I was visiting a few years ago.
That's awesome.
Probably can't see it very well. Again, pretty bad at it.
That is, wow. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Is this what you thought?
Yes, it is.
Wow, you're good. Yeah, she signed it. I did a screening.
Wow.
I know.
Tell us more.
You know, for those of you, I'm sure a lot of you know this series, but the Green Porno series that Isabella Rossellini did, first for Sundance, but they're all available on YouTube, and it's a great series where she dresses up like starfish or okay, I'm bad at this, but creatures of the sea and land, and talks about how they reproduce and also sort of their biology. She interviews scientists. They're really short. They're like 2 to 3 minutes, but they're fantastic, and I love them. And a few years ago, I screened a number of them along with a film by her father, Roberto Rossellini, that was filmed in a fish tank, and some films by a French surrealist filmmaker, and we had a conversation, and it was very fun. And I think I love the way she, communicates facts and things having to do with science in a really playful and like very cinematic way. So she's one of my heroes. Yeah.
She's a very excitable person.
Always good to have as a personality trait.
She was wonderful.
Yes.
We did have one question in the chat that I wanted to actually ask you all before we move on. Ricardo was wondering, will there be a festival in the future of films adapted from the novels of Jules Verne? What do you think?
Very, very particular request, so I can't say it's in the works, but I think it's a great idea, and certainly keep it in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pitch if I've ever heard one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Amazing. Let's get to the answers, y'all. So I did stump a bunch of you with this one, so I'm very excited to tell you all about the specific brand of chocolate syrup that suspense master Alfred Hitchcock used in Psycho. It was not Hershey's. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to all the people who answered that. It was actually Bosco. So as far as I could see, Bosco used to come in like little jars. Before it came in like squeeze bottles, it actually came in like these little jars. And so it was more of like chocolate spread almost. It was still syrup, but like you had to like dip a little, utensil into it to actually use it as syrup. So, or like get a little spoon so you could put it in your milk. So I love that. I love that that's the one he chose. It just feels like the most Hitchcock one to me. I don't know why exactly, but I love this like hack that it was like, well, it doesn't actually have to be red. It doesn't have to look like blood from a color perspective, but it does need to consistency look like it. So just pick any brown syrup that we can find. So I love that. All right, we're going to move on to question 2, which again, if you haven't seen Annihilation, you got to see it. But the question was about what kind of specific kinds of genes were found in this. Well, the hypothesized that they were inside of these topiary-like human sort of figures that they found made of plants. And so the answer was Hox genes. I don't know anything about Hox genes. You can ask me no follow-up questions.
You can read. I'm going to make a plug. Read the article on Science and Film. If you go to scienceandfilm.org and search for Annihilation, you'll find an article. It was co-written by 2 Harvard geneticists, and they explain exactly what Hox genes do.
I'm going to find it and I'm going to post it in the chat because that is my brand.
Get the Expanse one in there too.
Oh yeah. Dang.
I tried to post the Expanse one, but I don't think YouTube likes links, so I don't know if it went through. Yeah,
it's not great at that. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just communicating.
Yeah, I'm gonna post the full link, but you might have to like copy and paste it, or like here it has the words annihilation, horizontal gene transfer. So just
There we
like
go.
do your best. Amazing. All right. We're going to move on to question 3, which was about these amazing creatures from the Dark Crystal, these fantastic puppets. But I asked you about the specific then cutting edge technology that used a combination of rods, cables, and radio control tech to actually blink the eyes, move the hands, and do other sort of like subtle features throughout the film. And it was animatronics. Yes. So you had to give me something like animatronics. I couldn't take like robotics. I'm so sorry to all the people who wrote robotics. It needed to be just a little bit more specific. So animatronic, if you go to Disney World, you'll see animatronics all over the place now. But at the time, we didn't have very many of them. And I don't even know if we really use animatronics in film all that often anymore. I can't really think of very many other ones that we use animatronics in. Maybe the Mandalorian, maybe the tiny baby Yoda has some animatronic features, but I don't know that for sure. So Angela has said that, oh, we overthought this one. You did your best, so that's what matters. That's always what matters, y'all. For question 4, we had all the Jaws heads. I think that's what people are called who like Jaws a lot. We asked you really not even anything about the film, but instead about there are very few unprovoked shark attacks in the world. Last year in the United States, there were only 57. So it's not very many in the grand scheme of things. Most of them happen in Florida, Hawaii, and California. But what is the 4th state in which they happen? It was North Carolina. Yes. I think this also has to do with the prevalence of people who are traveling to this place who may not live there as well. I think that probably has something to do with it. You know, a lot of people go to Florida. It also has a lot of coastline, so that doesn't help the sharks at all. It probably helps the sharks. It doesn't help the people who.
They also have a resurgent seal population in North Carolina.
No way. Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Do you know that because you visit North Carolina often, or is that
No,
just a fact in your head?
I just read an article about this yesterday because of some environmental protection laws in North Carolina. There is a bump in the seal population, and more sharks are coming to visit.
Wow, I did not know that. Good fact. Thank you, Katie.
You're welcome.
This is what happens when you invite friends to come do trivia with you. You get all kinds of great facts. Someone asked, by the way, in the chat, if for the Hawks genes questions, I accepted homeobox. I did. Yes. So sorry, I forgot to say that. So if you wrote, let me see what the acceptable answers were. There were a few of them. Oh yeah. If you wrote Hawks genes, homeobox, or homeobox genes, you did get the answer right. So thank you for keeping me honest, Cam. Great job. You did great. Yay. All right. So here is the last question of the round, all about spine-chilling cinema. I asked you for the scientific name for the xenomorphs from the Alien franchise. 3 of these I made up, but I did not make up Internivcivis raptus. That is the name for these creatures, apparently. It translates from Latin to murderous thief. So that's dark. Like, I couldn't make that up if I wanted to. But the other ones are my best estimations to something that sounded scary. Vultus amplexus means face hug. Atrox morticis means terrible biting or teeth. And corpus porcosus means body outbreak or burst. So I did my best to do face hugger, chest burster, and just bad teeth because they've got scary teeth. So I did my best. But a lot of people got that right. You found the one that was true. So congratulations to all of the teams basically, but especially the teams who got that right. All right. Here are the top 10 teams for this round. There's some new names up here, which I'm excited about. So, very quickly, I'm going to go through all of the points. So here are the teams who have, you're doing your best. 0 points so far. It's okay. This isn't your game. Snake River, River Snakes, and Cavern. You have goose eggs right now, but that's okay. There's still another round. With 1 point so far, we've got Trudon, Sweltering Swifts, Rooms for Zoomies, Dancing Fish, and BM Hunter with 2 points so far. Your mom. Oh, you have 3 points. Sorry, I updated your. You got that point right. So Ultraviolet, Sunny Side Up, Royal Swan Posse, Polish Princess, Leo the Grants Must Die, Claus, Casey Cakes, Greek God of Revelry, Fox Kits, Dumbledorks, Ocmacorp, and a Movie Buffs Marathon in Maldonia, the longest name here, with 3 points so far. Trace Cabezas, Tom Selleck's Chest Hair, Four Wens, Techno Babble, Sea Muskrats, Raven Puffles, Prairie Schooners, Magnificent Manatees, Herpetophilia, Handle with Scare, Grushnicka, Dr. Sniffles, and Business Geese. And your mom. You all have 3 points. With 4 points, the Buckeye Five, Rich D Family, Los Gatos, Just Me McGee, Cinder Squid, and Too Tired to Care. With 5 points, the Study Group, Sci Y, Harumphs, Bentley, and Alone is Not Lonely. With 6 points, 2 teams, Sacramento Kings and Team Aries. With 7 points, the Jammin' Lux and Argonauta. 8 points, we got a couple teams tied for second place. Trained Observers, The Girls Are Fighting, Sibling Rivals of the Silver Screen, RK Warriors, Anonymous Sparrow, and 1006. And with 9 points at the very top so far, has only missed 1 question. Solo Susie, kicking butt. Congratulations. Yes. I also agree that Tom Selleck's Chest Hair, good name for that one makes me laugh. So congratulations. Y'all are doing great. Ryan is wondering if perhaps we maintain that 0 is a perfect score and that they were playing by golf rules tonight. We'll see how we do in the last one and see how you feel then. But that is all the teams. All right. That is the last time I'm going to do that because we are moving on to round 3, which is just called We Need Some Space. So not us, but the world needs space because this round is all about space movies. So all about the science of space movies and either the science of them or the fake science of them. So it's a little bit of both. I'm going to put the round 3 answer form in the chat for you all. So in case you don't have it, that is for you. And all right, we're ready to go. Sonia, Katie, are you ready?
Let's get ready for takeoff.
Nice.
Very nice.
Here for the puns. Let's do it. All right. Round 3, question 1. Sonia, can you read this one for us?
Happily. Folks, welcome to 2001: A Space Odyssey, where we meet doctors Dave Bowman, Frank Poole, and HAL 9000, a computer dead set on the good of the space mission. But do you know the name of their spacecraft? So, question, what is the name of their spacecraft? Come on, folks.
Yes. So there's a couple spacecrafts that are in the movie. We're talking about the one at the very end that has Bowman, Poole, and HAL 9000 on it. So that is the one we are looking the name for. I'll be honest, 2001 is one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't know that I knew this because I'm not great at names. Generally speaking, I'm not great at names. The only reason I remember Dave's name is because Hal says it in that very scary, menacing way. I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave. And that's the only reason I remember that guy's name. So I don't judge you for not knowing this if you don't know it and you love this movie. Just know that that's true, everybody. So just do your best. But this exhibit, this was like the last movie museum exhibit I saw for about a year and a half for some weird reason. And I went with my dad and my family. My dad saw this movie when he was 8, when it first came out in theaters.
Wow.
And it just like cemented his love of science fiction, which he then passed down to me. So I've seen this movie so many times and it's so good every time. I'm like, this just gets better.
They do say it's one of those movies that, only gets better the more you see it. But it was very controversial at the time of its release. So.
Oh, yeah. I also didn't know until I went to see this. And I don't think my dad knew this either because we both found the plaque that said that Arthur C. Clarke wrote the book while they were writing the movie. Like those things happened at the same time. And I was like, that fact totally escaped me until now. It was pretty cool.
Kind of like Hidden Figures, I will say.
Yes, exactly.
Similar development
That's
trajectory.
so cool.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to move right along to question number 2. Katie, if you wouldn't mind reading this one for us.
Oh, yes. The director of Independence Day and The Day After Tomorrow has a new movie coming out next year called Moonfall. Ooh. About a team of scientists trying to figure out how to stop our only natural satellite from smashing into the Earth. In reality, the moon is slowly moving away from us at a rate of about how many centimeters per year? So how quickly, or how far rather, is the moon moving away from us every year?
Exactly.
That's terrifying to think about either way.
I know. It's very slow. I mean, all of these are in centimeters, so it's at the most moving like 4 inches. I think that's what 8 centimeters, about almost 9 centimeters goes to. So it's not very much. It's not moving very, very much. But it is slowly moving away from the Earth. And I believe that in Moonfall, what actually happens is that there's like an asteroid that hits the moon, and that it gets knocked, essentially, it gets knocked closer to Earth, and eventually it's going to smash into it, which is almost the opposite of what happened to form it, because the Earth, we think, is a part of the Earth that actually got smashed off of the Earth and then just like slowly became its moon. So yeah, this movie's taking a lot of liberties. It looks really cool though. Like, first of all, the phrase moonfall is like just
so
a very
on the nose, I feel.
Yeah. But yeah, so in reality it's actually moving away from us, but not very quickly. It's going to take, I think, a good amount of time for it to be gone forever. So, but we're living in that perfect moment where we still get to see like solar eclipses in that perfect way that we see complete solar eclipses. So I'm a big fan. I'm here for it. All right, we're going to move right along to question number 3. It is technically possible to grow plants on Mars like abandoned astronaut Mark Watney did in The Martian. Kinda. Martian soil doesn't have the nutrients and biological materials that plants rely on to grow. So to get biological material into Martian soil, Watney uses the only spare biological material he has, natural fertilizer, aka astronaut poop. One thing that Watney didn't have to deal with that real-life astronauts will if they want to grow foods, this compound toxic to humans, but possibly good for microbial life on the surface. So there is a toxic compound. Well, it's a compound that is toxic to humans that exists within the Martian soil, that even if we got our fertilizer in there and we got it sprayed down with water, that it probably still wouldn't be great for eating or growing. So what is that toxic compound that is in Martian soil? I believe this photo, by the way, Utah. I don't think that there's very many astronauts just walking around in a very clean spacesuit. That looks way too clean to be anywhere but Earth, but still pretty cool. Have both of you seen this movie, by the way? I liked it.
Definitely.
And
classic.
Have you by chance had a chance to read Andy Weir, who wrote the book, his new book?
I haven't read it. I did interview him at the time The Martian came out. And he talked about his upcoming book, but I haven't read it. But I think it's already under option, right? Like,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I think it's so good. Like, it
Really?
kept me totally enraptured the whole time. Yeah, the whole way through. It was really good. I highly recommend it.
What is it called? Not that he needs a plug. But
I know, right? But it's actually on back order at my local. I bought it for 2 different people for the holidays. But it is called Project Hail Mary. And it's very good. Yeah, I highly recommend it to anyone who is looking for a nice, a good science fiction book to read for this upcoming Inside time. It is definitely a really good one.
As of a few months ago, Ryan Gosling was attached to star and produce.
Of course he was. It's just only pretty people can go to space, so that makes sense.
Did you not know that astronauts can only be handsome?
Yeah, I've heard that around town. To be fair,
where are the women astronauts?
I know, right?
There's only one spacesuit, Sonia.
And it's not like appropriate to women's sizes.
Yeah,
female sizes.
Not even close, everybody.
Damn.
We have so much work to do. All right, we're going to move on to question number 4. Sonia, if you wouldn't mind reading this one for us. Oh, you are muted. Sorry. It's the phrase of 2021.
Yes, here I am. Dr. Ellie Arroway, the fictional protagonist of the fantastic 1997 film Contact, does work at 2 very real places on Earth: the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico and the Very Large Array in New Mexico. While working at the VLA, and right before funding runs out, she finds a signal repeating a sequence of prime numbers sent to Earth from what star system about 25 light years away? I think if any of you are science movie fans, you've seen Contact. So
again, I hadn't seen it until about 2 years ago, and I I think I had seen parts of it, when you were like flipping through channels and you watched 20 minutes of a movie.
Yeah.
I loved it. I just loved watching this movie the whole way through. It's so good.
It's one of the last films I showed in the theater before we closed for COVID. I showed it, I think, in January or even February.
I think.
Yeah, February of 2020. And we had the head of the Carl Sagan Institute, which is at Cornell. Lisa Kaltenegger is her name, and she's fantastic. And she spends, her whole life. Jill Tarter is the person who Ellie Arroway is based on, but Dr. Kaltenegger, also does that work of sort of looking for other life forms and universes, and is very smart.
That's so cool. That sounds amazing.
It's a great film for the big screen, I will say.
Yeah, it's a long one though. It's almost 3 hours.
Hence the big screen.
Yeah,
you need to be like focused.
Yeah, you have to be really in it. Jamie said that the book is good too. I actually didn't read the book. I haven't gotten a chance to read it at all, but I do know, like a Carl Sagan classic. I've read a couple of his other books and they're all so good. So I'm sure that this one is no different at all. So, all right, that was question 4. Our last question of the round. Katie, would you mind reading the last question for us?
An honor. Alrighty. Last question, guys. I'm so excited. Okay, one last question about 2001. The first design for the monolith in the film was closer to the object described in the short story The Sentinel by Arthur C. Clarke, about which 2001 was based. They ended on a transparent, flat slab and eventually covered the surface with black matte paint to make the object you see pictured here. What was the 3D shape of the monolith's original design? What shape was the original monolith?
Yes. So we're looking for the 3D shape, everybody. If you give me 2D shapes, I'll be mad and I won't give you the point. You got to give me a 3D shape. But yeah, it wasn't this like rectangular prism that it is now. Another thing I did not know until very recently.
That's a good one.
I thought I knew so much about this movie. I knew nothing. I knew absolutely nothing until I went to go see that exhibit. And I annoyed my entire family because my dad and I were just like, did you read everywhere on this plaque? I read it twice. Let's go to the next one.
I visit museums the same way, Diana. I have to read every single thing and I take forever and people are like, come on, we are hungry. Let's go.
The problem is I studied museums and someone wrote that and I know how much work that went into like that one tiny like paragraph that's on the wall. And I feel terrible if I don't read near 90 to 100% of the wall plaques. So I do my best. I'm a terror to all of my friends and family who go to museums with me, but I feel like I I've probably made one curator happy. They watched me through a museum. And they're like, wow, they did a good job. They read the whole thing.
I'm sure the curators are thanking you.
Very appreciative.
At least they're happy. That makes my day. So, all right, teams, we're at the end of round 3. So here are all of the questions for the round. We are going to stop talking for about a minute and a half, and you are going to finish your forms. Good luck, have fun, and we'll see you in a second. All right, teams, this is your last look at all of the questions. Submit your form now or forever hold your science movie piece. All right, that's it. That's all you get. Goodbye. All right, so we're going to go score. This is the most important time to score. So I'm going to take my time with this one. We've got a really, it has nothing to do with movies, but I just had to show it to you. It's one of my favorite films that Science Friday has made. We do this thing every year called Cephalopod Week in June, where we celebrate octopuses and squids and cuttlefish and all kinds of cephalopods for a whole week in June. Is one of my favorite parts of working for Science Friday. And so I'm going to show you a video that is all about Vampiroteuthis, which is a kind of squid that lives in the deep, and he's very cinematic. That's the connection here. They're very cinematic. They're very wonderful. So enjoy the movie, and we'll see you in a few minutes, everybody.
Deep in the ocean, in the cold darkness, lurks a mysterious ancient creature. The vampire squid from hell. Before you reach for the garlic and a wooden stake, there are 2 things you should know about this mystery of the deep.
The vampire squid, first, isn't a vampire, and second, isn't a squid.
Bruce Robeson is the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute's resident authority on the vampire squid.
Its scientific name is Vampiroteuthis infernalis, which is really a cool sounding name. It makes them sound pretty spooky and special, and indeed they are. Their fundamental structure is very similar to octopuses and squids. But what they really represent is the line of cephalopods before they split into 10-limbed squid and 8-limbed octopuses. They're a very ancient form, really a living fossil that tells us quite a lot about what cephalopods were like hundreds of millions of years ago. There are fossils more than 200 million years old that are virtually indistinguishable from modern-day Vampiroteuthis.
This creature is the only known survivor of the order Vampiromorphidae and has remained relatively unchanged for a long, long time, mostly because it is extremely well adapted to its environment.
Vampiroteuthis lives at depths below about 600 meters, a depth range where oxygen tends to be more or less depleted. We refer to those areas as oxygen minimum zones.
While most life can't survive in this harsh, oxygen-depleted environment, Vampiroteuthis lives here quite comfortably.
It has a relatively low metabolic rate, Whereas we have hemoglobin in our blood to hold oxygen, cephalopods have a comparable blood pigment called hemocyanin, which is very capable of holding lots and lots of oxygen.
Vampiroteuthis is naturally buoyant and doesn't have to expend a lot of energy to stay afloat. This footage is actually shot in real time, and as you can see, the vampire squid isn't in much of a hurry. Few other animals live in this habitat, which means there aren't a lot of predators to run away from. But it raises an interesting question. What does a vampire squid eat?
While most squids and octopus feed on living prey and are predators, Vampiroteuthis is very different in that it feeds on particulate matter, detritus, aggregated marine snow particles. Marine snow consists of stuff from life processes up in the surface layers. The bodies of dead animals, dead phytoplankton cells, poop sinks slowly down to the deep sea floor.
While it's not very appetizing, the fact that Vampiroteuthis eats marine snow isn't as strange as how it eats it.
It has a pair of long, slender filaments that come out between the first and second pair of arms.
This filament has a long array of sticky short hairs, which collect particles of marine snow. Once it has collected a good portion, it pulls the filament in, using its arms to scrape the food into a cavity formed by its web so it can ingest it.
Everything we learn about them suggests that they are ideally suited to live where they live. It's a serendipitous combination of a particular habitat that is restrictive to many species and a habitat to which Vampiroteuthis is beautifully adapted.
For Science Friday, I'm Christian Baker.
Hey, yes, one of my favorites. And yes, a few people have mentioned we learned about hemocyanin a few weeks ago. I think it actually might have been during Cephalopod Week when we did trivia. That was one of the questions we asked. I learned it. I did not learn it myself. I learned it from this researcher. So
again, so cool.
Right? Cephalopods
very
are best.
cinematic.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, I just need to find one more. And this, I love the part where Christian is like, by the way, this film is in real time. This thing moves very slowly because we just had to make that clear. Amazing. All right, let us get to the answers. I know you are on the edge of your seats wondering about what the answer to these questions were. So we asked two questions about 2001 in this round. The first one was about the name of the spacecraft in which Dave Bowman, Frank Poole, and HAL 9000 are in for like the second half of the movie. It's called Discovery 1. You did have to give me the one. If you spelled it 1 or if you wrote the number 1, I accepted it. But I couldn't just take Discovery, everybody. I'm so sorry to all the people who did that. The full name is Discovery 1. So it's the difference between Apollo 10 and Apollo 13. They're very different. So I appreciate you, but I'm sorry. Discovery 1 is the correct answer. For our second question, in conjunction with Moonfall, which comes out next year, I asked you at what rate is the moon moving away from the Earth in centimeters? The answer is A, 3.78 centimeters. So it's like an inch, I think, a year, maybe an inch. So it's not very much. We will all never miss it because it is moving away so slowly that it doesn't matter to any of our earthly lives. But we will miss it when it's gone in the millions of years that it is. So maybe the sun will actually explode before that happens. So we won't be around.
So many things to look forward to.
Yeah, exactly. This is when I get loopy at the end of trivia. I just start saying that the sun's going to explode one day. So you're all here for it. I'm very excited. All right. So this question I asked you about Martian soil and what's the thing in it that if we tried to grow stuff that would kill us right quick. Perchlorates. Yes. So that is the toxic compound that is in there. If you wrote anything like perchlorates, by the way, some people wrote like ammonia perchlorates, you got it. So you had to just write perchlorates in there somewhere, and I gave it to you. So congratulations for all the teams that knew that. I had no idea. So many of you knew this, and I was like, wow, a lot of people know what perchlorates are. I still don't quite know. So for this question, we asked you about Contact and what star system about 25 light years away is the one from which we are receiving these signals. I believe it's actually, what is it? Is it, it was Hitler's 1933 speech that they sent back, because it was like the first one that would have been radio transmitted. And so they basically caught the first one.
Oh, yes. You mean in the
sent
film.
it back. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, not in real life.
I know, it
everybody.
took me a second too. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, no, that was and I was like, what an interesting choice. But I
yes,
guess
it is. And they get very freaked out, and they, yeah, it's a good moment.
Yeah. But yes, the answer is Vega. So it is the Vega star system from which this signal is being received. I think that people, like, when I looked this up, they're like, the researchers think that actually it's like one of the most important star systems for us to research, because it's most likely one that we may find exoplanets that have something like life on them. So, as per usual, Carl Sagan did his research on this one and made a very accurate movie and, well, a very accurate book, which I think like 15 years later was made into a movie. So, all right. And our last question of the round, another one about 2001, because I can't get enough, because it is the best. What was the original 3D shape that the monolith was supposed to take, as opposed to what is pictured here, a rectangular prism, I guess? I did not like my math classes, so I apologize. But I did look this up, and it's a tetrahedron. Yes.
Yeah.
So I had no idea. It was supposed to be a clear pyramid, essentially. Why?
That would have had a more alien vibe, I guess. I don't know.
I guess. I don't know. The monolith is itself very alien-like to me.
They'd already done a sphere in an earlier film, so I guess they had to switch it up a little bit.
They were like, as many corners as possible this time.
Yeah.
A lot of people guessed obelisk, which when I sometimes run these trivia questions past my partner to be like, okay, what do you think the answer is, to make sure, like, to see if it's hard or if it's really easy. And he also guessed obelisk. So I was like, I would have guessed that too. So yes. A bunch of people are asking me if I accepted pyramid. One thing I will say, by the way, there is an outright winner. That team wrote tetrahedral pyramids. So no matter what, they win. I mean, I'm kidding. So technically, I'm gonna look this up, because right now I don't. I think the answer is no. I think technically the answer is no, because there are several forms in which a pyramid can take that isn't a tetrahedron. There are also pyramids that have square bases. And so no, I can't accept pyramid on its face. I'm so sorry, everybody. It didn't work out the way that we thought it would, but
there's always next time.
There's always next time, exactly. And when I say 3D shape, I mean 3D shape. So I try really hard to be really hard about the answers, but sometimes I'm like, you spelled it close enough. But for this one, yeah, you need to be a little bit more specific, friends. Sorry about that. All right, so this is the point at which I say thank you with all of my friends. So thank you so much for doing this with us. This was such a pleasure. I have had so much fun with you, Sonia and Katie, tonight. I hope you had an awesome time too.
Oh my gosh, this was a delight. I hope we can do it again sometime.
Yes, that would be awesome. There's so many teams that are upset with me.
I know. I was crying in a non.
You made them cry.
It was me. I'll take all of the credit for that. You had nothing to do.
Now
there's more. Diana obviously does an amazing job, and there's more fun to be had. It does
Thank
not
you.
result in crying, so
Thank you both
Just
so
know,
much.
some of it is, this is just for you, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So just so you all know, by the way, all the teams that are here tonight, we are splitting donations made tonight with the Museum of Moving Image. And so if you've been waiting for your chance to donate to either of our institutions, this is a great time to do it because it supports both of us with one easy transaction. So if you like what we're doing, even just a small donation helps because it helps all of us, Sonia, Katie, and myself, to go back to our institution and say, see, this is a thing that matters. Can I do it more, please? And so you can make your donation anytime today, and it will, and even tomorrow, because we send out a thank you email to everyone who comes out tomorrow. So if you make your donations today or tomorrow, and you do them at the sciencefriday.com/donate-events, that's important because that is the tracking, the way that we track the donations. And so if you donate at that link, I will know. And so the people who work with the money, they don't let me touch, know. They know that your donation came in because of tonight's trivia with the Museum of Moving Image. So thank you to everyone who can donate. Literally any amount matters to all of us. So thank you again for anyone who can donate. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you click the little subscribe button, you'll be able to watch some of the videos that we have. So we have a lot of really cool videos, so you can watch them on the internet. All right, that is the end of my pitch. Sonia and Katie, is there anything that the people should know if they are thinking about coming to New York City, if they live in or near New York City? What should they know that the museum has going on in the next couple weeks or months?
Yeah, we are here for you. So we're, for those who haven't been before, I always describe it as like half a nonprofit movie theater, half an exhibition space. So we have 3 wonderful floors of exhibition space. Our permanent collection includes a lot of the sort of artifacts of the moving image. So cameras and editing equipment and lighting and old television sets and film strips like we talked about, and old posters and fan art and many, many things like that. We have a temporary exhibition right now devoted to TikTok and TikTok videos, and we'll be opening 2 new exhibitions in December. But then we also have, a very full slate of films that we show in our beautiful theaters. We show 2001 a lot in 70 millimeter, and we have an ongoing 70 millimeter series. We have a Georgian film series coming up. My program, Science on Screen, we show films about once a month. So we have a whole series coming up with that. So there's always a lot. And for those of you, I will just give a plug, and Katie, feel free to follow up on anything that I might have missed, but we do have a new digital membership, which we started during the pandemic when we started doing, more online events. But we do sometimes make, films available for streaming, and we have like online only events such as tonight. So it's, hopefully a pretty affordable price, and is a nice way to support our things. And Katie can tell you more about that. But thank you all so much for coming.
Yes. And if you are not able to join as a member or get to the museum in person, our wonderful education department also offers virtual tours and workshops for groups of all ages. They do amazing work over there. And it's a great way to experience the museum if you can't get here physically. And as Sonia said, we do have series online that are available for streaming, and we look forward to doing more events like this one as we move forward.
Yay.
So thank you.
And we do have Blade Runner's Tyrell miniatures, so thank you.
Yes, that's my favorite object in the museum. Is the Tyrell building.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That movie has a soft spot in my heart. It's a really interesting and weird movie, but it's a good one. It's a good watch. All right. Thank you again. Thank you so much. Before I actually announce,
thank you, Diana.
I just want to say thank you again so much. This has been so much fun.
Thank you. It's such a joy. Thank you again.
Yeah. All right. So we do have an outright winner for tonight's trivia. So actually, Katie and Sonia, if you wouldn't mind giving me a soft round of applause or drum roll. And the winner of tonight's trivia night, Solo Susie, with 14 points. This was your whole, you swept, Susie. This is great. I am so excited for you. 14
Well
points. They missed
done,
one
Suze.
question.
Congratulations.
Amazing. Yes. Ugh. Congratulations. You guys did great. I am going to send you an email tomorrow. You are winning all kinds of awesome stuff. Science Friday swag, Museum of Moving Image swag, the ability to visit more times. I think this is 20 visits. So you can go by yourself or you can bring a friend and get a few less.
Good holiday presents also.
Very good
just
holiday
saying.
present.
Yes, they are. Very nice. Well, congratulations again. Yay. I'm so excited. That was so much fun.
Good job, Susie.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I will see you both at the museum soon. I will definitely come
Certainly.
visit again. I'm very excited about that
Absolutely.
TikTok exhibition. Did not see that last time I went. Very excited.
Yeah,
about that.
just opened, so.
Amazing.
Check it
Well,
out.
have a wonderful night, everyone here. Again, my name is Diana. I am the Outreach Manager for Science Friday. We have been your Science Goes to the Movies Trivia Night hosts, and hopefully we will all see you again very soon. Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.